Okay, here's our reference. We're going to do these clouds. Pretty much no drawing necessary. I'm just going to leave the paint do whatever it wants. And we're going to start putting in some grays, let them run, and then we'll leave some white areas down in here. But first we're going to splash some grays here and there, and then the bottom will be all grays. And I'll make a real low horizon line down in here just to show the tree line itself, just to define something on the bottom. Okay, first I'm going to wet everything. Looking at it sideways a little bit just to see where my water is and where it is not. Okay, let's start with the bigger brush. I'm going to use this one right here. It's a Winsor Newton. We're going to go with cobalt blue and then a little bit of brown, burnt umber, just to gray it down just a little bit. I'm going to water it up too. And I'm going to have my spray bottles ready too. That's what I want right in there, just a real wispy look. Now when we add some hard edges later, and this could be hard edge down here, what we're going to do though is we're going to take that off into the horizon. And I'm going to go with a little bit deeper gray now while it's still wet. A little bit of French. Definitely letting the water do its thing. Now if I want these to run up, I'm going to flip it over. Hit it that way. There we go. Get a little bit different directions. And just to mix things up a little bit, put a little bit of cobalt violet in there. I'll give it a late evening effect. Yeah, warmer gray. Don't want to mess with it too much. Okay, we'll let that dry. And get a little wee bit more spotted effect before I leave it dry. Try a real light splash. Might be a little bit too wet, but I'm going to leave it go. We'll hit it with the dryer for a little bit. Okay, I just took the shine off. I'll try to break it up a little bit just so it looks more like clouds and not a spattered texture. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, now I'm going to put some edges of the whites in and leave that. You could see that there's some hard edges of whites. That's what I wanted, and everything else is kind of grayed down. I'll disguise this guy a little bit here. I got a little bit of a cauliflower effect, but because it kind of matches the rest of the textures and patterns, it should be okay. Okay, let's go ahead in and splash on some more We'll wet it down and splash on. What I'll do is work in reverse, make my hard edges, and then bring it off into what's already there. It's just clear water. I'm keeping it up above where I'm working. I'm going to use a new brush. These new brushes are working very well. They are well worth the $25. It's a very nice set. There are a lot of brushes in that particular set, and I think I'm going to start using them for my basic painting more and more. As I said before, when I scrub with paint on the paper, I could lose a needle point pretty quickly on just about any type of brush. I'll put the link down below for the page of where I got them from on Amazon. I am not affiliated with them in any way, so you can buy them as you wish. Working in with the mist bottle, a wet brush, and now moving into French ultramarine blue instead of the cobalt blue will give me more of a silvery gray, deeper gray also. Working on top, I wanted to mist some of the gray back over the top of the cloud. This will provide a little bit more of a foreground cloud that would be in front of that hard white cloud. Leaving it dry, I'm going to start working in on the base of the clouds themselves. Once I get that in, I can leave that dry and then work with the tree line just to give a hint of how high up the clouds are compared to the tree line. This is important, knowing where they are in space. Okay, I'll let that dry. That's soaking down. I'm going to put in a quick tree line. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, I'm going to take this a little wee bit darker down here, and then I'm going to make the tree line also a little bit darker, but I'm going to just put some texture in it just so it's not a perfect flat silhouette the whole way across. We'll just give it a little bit of texture here and there. Very subtle because it's in a distance. I say distance because that is exactly where they are. When I photographed this picture of clouds, I zoomed in a little bit. However, it was still a very unique, interesting set of clouds. I wanted to paint them, but if I would ever use this particular reference for a painting and drop them into another type of landscape, then I have to make sure I put these clouds in the location of the new painting at the proper perspective that they are. They are way out in the distance. That is why there's just a little space between the top of the trees and the bottom of the clouds. It is important to know where your eye level is and where your perspective, proportions, lighting conditions, all of the above when you start adding more than one photo to create a painting. This will be an upcoming demo. Okay, we'll let that dry. See what we got. I have to straighten out my tree a little bit. Clouds were still too wet. I tried to put the top of the tree in and missed it, but that horizon line is just to show what it would look like up against the horizon line. In this particular photograph, it gets fairly dark as it goes off into the horizon, but then there is a little wee bit of daylight there that's still under the clouds. And just to show you, if I took that dark gray too dark, then you can lighten it up a little bit, scrub it out. In other words, don't give up. You can still give it a couple coats of clear water, leave it soak in a little bit, and then try and lift some out. We'll let that dry and see what we got. Okay, it dried up a little bit, enough that I could take the tape off. I'm going to take this one off and leave a little bit hang. Take these off. And this is just a quick, about 15-minute cloud pattern with a spray bottle and a lot of water and one of the Fuumuui brushes. I do like them. The one size 12 shed a little bit, but once it was done, for $25, as many brushes as I showed you in the grasshopper demo, I will put that up now. I think they're well worth 25 bucks. Even just for scumble coats or rough coats, if they're still holding their tip really well now. Here's the two I use right now. And if I rinse this one out, I'll just hit it a couple times and I didn't touch it. And it is holding its point pretty good. All I did was bang it up against the side of my water jar, and that is it. And they are not bad at all. They are well worth the $25. Again, Fuumuui. I don't know how to pronounce it. So, quick cloud study, just to give you some rough ideas, just some textures, some edges, some lost and founds, a little bit of cobalt violet in just to give it an interesting glow. And that would be it for this one. Until you see me out in the field or back at the studio, thanks for watching.